Hi, this is Alessio. Hope you're well. In this video, I want to take a look at the chart of Ethereum. In fact, I consider Ethereum to be quite important because it often can act as Bitcoin's leading indicator. So that's why we pay attention to the chart of Ethereum, because it can give us clues as to what potentially could be happening overall in the crypto market. And I want to show you why I think a lot of analysts are probably wrong on their assessment of Ethereum, what's happening on this chart. And I want to explain what I think is the most likely pattern and structure that's forming here on the chart of Ethereum, and also ask the question, are we getting closer to a potential bottom here on this chart? All right, guys, join me. All right, guys, welcome back. So as far as Ethereum is concerned, we haven't talked about this for quite some time, but actually it's probably a good thing. I always don't understand these people out there who give constant daily updates on crypto, Bitcoin, and Ethereum. Like every day has to be something interesting to report on. The truth is that most analysts, or analysts I call them because they just talk out of their backside, most analysts don't understand that most of what happens every single day on the chart, okay, is noise. This is why I think the analysts out there who just continuously report every single day, every hour on what's happening on the chart of Ethereum or Bitcoin, they don't understand most of what happens on the charts or on the price action is noise, random noise, meaningless noise, okay? Not everything is something important. That's why less, in my view, less is more when it comes to analysis. Okay, so let's get down to it. What I think is quite likely on the chart of Ethereum is actually, again, as I mentioned before, I think Ethereum is important to pay attention to because it's often Bitcoin's leading indicator. So that's why we need to pay attention to it, because it could be giving us some leading clues as well. So notice when we look at the chart of Ethereum in the longer term picture, going at least back to the lows of 2022, notice that we're still in an uptrend. Okay, so this uptrend line that I've drawn here, as you can see, so let me just get my pen. Again, this is the low we made in the summer of last year, 2022. This is the low we made in the autumn or winter of last year. And this is the most recent low we made here. And notice that we just came recently. Notice that we just came recently to test that important trend line. Very recently, in fact, I think it was September. Yeah, we came down to this trend line, this rising trend line. We tested it, and guess what? We bounced off. We just zoom in here. Notice that we bounced off that trend line beautifully, as a matter of fact. By the way, there's something else you need to pay attention to, and this is where Elliott wave theory can be very useful. If you actually measure this first decline, okay, from the highs of the spring down to the lows we made in the summer, then if you project the same measurement from the recent high we made here in July, a 100% symmetrical logarithmic extension or projection gives you the low that we just made. That's the red line, by the way, in my chart. You see this red line? Okay, that's a 1534. That's the 100% logarithmic extension or projection of this first initial decline. So in other words, when Ethereum dropped down here, it tested not just the trend line support, but also it tested the red line here as well. That's the 100%, again, symmetrical logarithmic extension of the first drop. Okay, but there's something else too. This is the blue line. There's a blue line here, and that's a 50% retracement of the prior rally. In other words, this particular rally you're seeing here. So that rally on Ethereum, and the 50% retracement brings it down to the level. We came very close to it. So the 50% retracement was 1521. Again, these are logarithmic retracements, and we came very close to it, extremely close to that level. So you could argue there were at least three important support levels that we tested on this particular chart. The first support level was this rising trend line, this purple magenta rising trend line. In fact, bouncing off from this level, showing to us this was likely an uptrend, still an uptrend. Then the 100% extension of that initial decline, and the 50% retracement. So three key support levels we tested just recently here, and we held it, and we bounced off on the chart of Ethereum. Very good sign so far. So let's just zoom in one more time here. Now, I want to mention something quite important, that I think a lot of analysts are wrong when they say that this is the start of a downtrend on Ethereum. So some analysts, they look at this chart and they say, again, very naively, in my view, they say, oh, well, obviously, again, in their view, they say, well, over here you have the top on Ethereum, okay? And this is a lower high this is a lower high, and therefore we're in a downtrend. So in their view, they think we're in a downtrend. They're wrong, in my view. In fact, as I just explained, Ethereum is still showing to us we're in a likely uptrend. Okay, let me just explain to you why I think the people out there, the analysts out there who say that Ethereum is now in a downtrend or is about to crash and drop into a bear market or downtrend or crash or something like that, they're wrong. So here's why I think they're wrong. First of all, if this was the beginning of a downtrend, if this was the beginning of a crash or a bear market, this initial decline that you're seeing here, so this first initial decline. So in other words, if this was the beginning of a crash, which again, it's not, in my view it is not, but if that was the beginning of a downtrend or a bear market crash, it would have to be composed of 5 smaller waves. In other words, the drop would have to be impulsive. But it's not impulsive. It's not composed of 5 waves. Now, I know there's some of you watching this video right now, and they're saying, Alessio, you're crazy. Surely this is composed of 5 waves, right? I mean, isn't this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Okay, so I put some numbers for you on the chart, as you can see here. Now, I did this just to make it simpler. But here's the thing. To the untrained eye, to someone who's not familiar with Elliott wave theory, they look at this and say, oh yeah, 5-wave drop. But if you're familiar with Elliott wave theory, and I think, again, most of my viewers here on this channel, as I'm sure you are sophisticated and intelligent people. So I know you know the reason why this is not a 5-wave drop. The reason is that, first of all, according to Elliott wave theory, wave 3 cannot be the shortest impulse wave. If you look over here, this would mean that wave 3, as you can see here, is the shortest impulse wave. That is not allowed by Elliott wave theory, okay? Number 2, there's another reason, actually much more simpler reason. The fact that wave 4 is overlapping with wave 2, okay? You see this? In this structure, wave 4 is overlapping with wave 2, okay? And that is also not allowed by Elliott wave theory for an impulsive drop. So guys, this cannot be an impulsive drop. All right. In fact, I'm going to put a line across this so you can see exactly what I mean. So this is not correct. It's wrong for the reasons just explained. So because in this structure, wave 4 and 2 here are overlapping, this tells me this is corrective. This is not impulsive. Therefore, there's a better interpretation. The better interpretation is that this was likely A wave down, B wave up, and a C wave drop. Okay, so I've just drawn the letters here for you. By the way, I'm sorry for my handwriting. It's very difficult to draw on this mouse, on this MacBook. Anyway, but you get the picture. In my view, this was a corrective A wave drop, B wave bounce, and a C wave, which, by the way, makes a larger degree A wave. Okay, and this would mean this is a larger degree B wave. All right, and that would mean this drop here is a larger degree C wave. Okay, A, B, C. All right, A wave down, B wave bounce, and a C wave impulsive drop. By the way, one thing we don't know yet is if the C wave has bottomed or not. Now, I'll come to this in a few minutes. But let me just say at the moment, to me, this is the more likely structure and wave count. That this drop here still is corrective, not impulsive. All right, and this is why I disagree with the analysts out there who think that Ethereum is now in a downtrend and falling into a bear market crash and going to significantly lower levels. No, to me, when you apply Elliott wave theory correctly to the charts, this still is a correction. This still is a corrective drop in Ethereum, which, by the way, is exactly what I said some weeks ago, if you recall. To me, this drop in Ethereum is a corrective drop, a correction. Now, what does that mean if it's a correction? If it's a correction, that means I'm looking still for higher highs, higher levels. I'm looking eventually by the end of this year, likely for Ethereum to go much higher. Probably by the end of this year or perhaps by the start of next year, I'm still looking for Ethereum to take out the prior highs that we made here in the spring and go to much higher levels. So I'm still bullish. In other words, I'm still bullish on Ethereum. Why? Because this structure to me looks corrective. It's a correction before a bigger uptrend starts again to much higher levels. Again, even if you just look at this chart without Elliott waves, forget Elliott waves for a moment. Even just if you look at this chart right now, you will see that we're still in an uptrend. Okay, the trend line has not been broken. We have not taken out, and also importantly, so first of all, we have not broken the trend line. We're still above the trend line. We also have not taken out the lows of spring, about 1400. So as long as Ethereum respects this trend line and as long as it stays above 1400, the lows that we made here in March, okay, provided Ethereum stays above these levels, I can still maintain a long-term bullish expectation for Ethereum and also for Bitcoin as well. So because Ethereum tends to be Bitcoin's leading indicator, as long as Ethereum continues to remain in an uptrend, I can also remain bullish on Bitcoin as well. Okay, that's the main thing to appreciate about this. Okay, now let's go a bit closer to this, and I want to show you something here. Okay, now here's the thing: we don't know yet whether the C wave has bottomed. Okay, even though I do think we are currently in the C wave of this drop here on Ethereum. Okay, and even though we've hit some important support levels, let me just get my pen. Even though Ethereum here hits several support levels, as you can see here, the trend line, the magenta line here, it bounced from. The 100% extension here at the red line, okay, and the 50% retracement. So even though the odds are higher, in my view, that we're getting close to a bottom, we don't have confirmation yet that the bottom is in for this ABC pattern, or the C wave of this ABC pattern. We don't yet have confirmation, okay? So we need to be cautious here because there's still a risk. There's still a risk of a lower low until we break through resistance. So where is resistance? Okay, resistance is here at these two levels that I've maintained on my, so I've drawn this on my chart. Okay, these are the two levels I've drawn. 1700, okay, the first level is 1700, and the next one is 1744. So we just remove these lines. So you can see it much better now. So the first resistance that Bitcoin needs to get through to confirm that the bottom is in, the first resistance on Ethereum is this green line at 1700. Again, that's merging with the 50 SMA. And the next one is this prior high that you see here at 1744, merging with the 100 EMA. Sorry for repeating this point again, but I just want to show it to you more clearly on the chart, okay? I think if Ethereum can get through these levels, so what I'm saying is Ethereum needs to prove to us that the bottom is in for this drop. Okay, we need to be careful here. We don't want to try and catch a falling knife. That's what I'm trying to say. Even though I'm saying that the odds are good, that we're getting close to a bottom, that is not the same thing as a confirmation that the bottom is in. So we don't yet have confirmation. As long as price remains below the resistance level of 1700, there is a risk of a lower low. Confirmation will come that Ethereum is bottomed when it manages to get through these two important levels on my chart. Again, the levels, as I mentioned, is 1700, the first resistance. I think if we get through 1700 and close above that, that's the first sign that bulls have regained control and a likely bottom is in. However, I would still need to see more follow-through. I would prefer to see more follow-through to reduce risks of a false break. I want to see more follow-through above 1744, the prior high we made here in August, just to show to us an increasing probability the bottom is in. So ideally, I want to see both these levels break in the short term or in the next few days and weeks to give us a high probability that the bottom is in for Ethereum. And until that happens, until Ethereum gets through these levels, I just want to be patient. I think it's best to just remain cautious and see what Ethereum does. Okay, so even though I remain bullish on Ethereum for the remainder of this year and going into next year, I still think higher levels are going to come for Ethereum. Again, I remain long-term bullish and optimistic for Ethereum. I'm just waiting for that extra degree of confirmation, which is a break and a close above both these levels. Again, first resistance 1700 and the next resistance is 1744. But I think once we get through and close above 1700, that will be the first sign of a bottom on Ethereum. By the way, one more thing I want to show you here is this before I forget, which is that when Ethereum made this lower low, notice it has some divergence here. If you take a look over here, you will see, I love divergences, by the way. So if you take a look, notice that Ethereum made a lower low here on this chart, but it made a higher low on MACD and the RSI, which is a positive sign. Now, as I said before, divergence on its own is not enough. You need confirmation. You need a breakthrough resistance. So let's wait for that break of resistance through 1700 and through 1744 on Ethereum to increase the probability the bottom is in for Ethereum. So in other words, I'm just waiting for Ethereum to prove to us that finally a bottom is in on the charts. And that's why I put these two lines of resistance on my chart. So that's really what I have here, guys. In other words, keeping it simple, I still see this drop on Ethereum as an ABC correction. Okay, again, keeping it simple, if you just zoom back again, notice that we're still in an uptrend as far as we can see on Ethereum. And as I said before in this video, to me, this drop that we're seeing here on Ethereum still is, in my view, nothing more than an A wave, B wave, C wave of a corrective pattern, of a correction. It's not, in my view, it's not a downtrend or the beginning of a crash or a bear market, as some people are mistakenly calling it. Now, if Ethereum were to break down, if Ethereum were to break down below this trend line and then take out the lows of March below 1400, then I would change my mind. But let me say that I don't think it's likely. I'm not expecting that. I think that's a low probability. So I'm not expecting such a bearish move or such a downtrend. So I'm still remaining long-term bullish on Ethereum, provided we stay above support, provided we can respect this trend line, but also respect this important low at 1400. We must not fall below that. Otherwise, I'd have to change my mind on Ethereum's chart and change my view on the whole picture. But for me, this still remains a likely uptrend on Ethereum and an ABC correction down to support. Let's just wait for confirmation. That's all I'm saying. Let's just wait for confirmation by a break above these levels. And I think if Ethereum can finally get through these important resistance levels, that would also be a good sign, a positive sign, not just for Ethereum, but also for Bitcoin as well, from a bigger picture perspective. All right, guys, because if Ethereum can get through these levels, it would also increase the likelihood that Bitcoin is likely bottoming as well. Now, let me just say before I finish that I give twice weekly regular updates on the chart of Bitcoin, as well as stock markets and gold in the member updates. So in the member videos and updates, I cover the chart of Bitcoin, as well as stock markets and gold on a regular basis. So again, if you're not a member, you can join that link you see right there, and I'll put the link for you in the description as well. Thank you very much indeed. And by the way, if this video has helped in any way, please give it a like and subscribe for future video updates. Thanks very much indeed. Bye for now.